Hi, Teri here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a little gift box or treat box. The box measures 4 1/4 inches tall and 2 3/8 of an inch wide. Now I've made this one an inch deep, but it's very easy to adjust the measurements to make it as deep as you want. On this one, the image and the paper comes from the Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper pack, and this pack was one of the free items that you could select during our recent celebration promotion. The sentiment comes from the Penguin Place stamp set. The front and back panels of the box have been created using one of the dies from the Stockings die set. The box is held closed by the ribbon bow, so you just have to undo it and loosen it or remove it to take out your gift or chocolate treat. In this one I've got a chocolate snowman. And then I can redo my bow to secure the box closed. Now I tend to keep my tails on the bow long until I gift the item. That way if I keep having to undo and do it back up again, I've got plenty of ribbon to work with. So let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for all the elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, take a screenshot so you can refer to it later. I'm using Mossy Meadow card as my base this time. Now I've die cut the front and back panels, and I've used the banner or tag die from the Stockings die set to do this. For the sides and the top of the box you need 3 additional pieces. All the pieces are in Mossy Meadow again, and I have 1 long strip and then 2 equal sized smaller strips. The larger strip goes into the Simply scoreboard with the long side across the top, and I'm going to score down at 3 3/4 inches from each side. Then I'll turn it so the short side is across the top, and I'm going to score down at 1 1/4 inch from each side. So effectively you've got 1/4 inch tab on each side. The smaller pieces go onto the Simply scoreboard with the longest side across the top, and I'm going to score at the halfway point, which is at 1 1/4 inches. Then I'll rotate so the short side is across the top, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So again, long side, score at 1 1/4, short side, score at 1/2 inch, it's a bit fiddly, and 1 inch. And again, that gives me 1/4 inch tab on one side. I normally prefer to use wet adhesive when I'm making a project, but I've tried it with wet adhesive and it gets quite messy. So I'm going to use my strong tear and tape adhesive. Now on all 3 pieces you have 1/4 inch tabs on the side, either side on the long strip and just on one side of the smaller pieces. I'm going to cover the full length of each of those 1/4 inch tabs with my tear and tape. When you hold the largest strip with the long side towards you, you'll see 2 vertical score lines. Now using my scissors I'm going to make a slanted cut either side of those score lines on the 1/4 inch tab to create notches, and I'll do this on both sides. I'll also make a slanted cut at each end of the 1/4 inch tabs. And now I'll repeat that for both the smaller pieces. So I'm going to notch either side of the score line and then at each end of the 1/4 inch tab. There's a little additional cutting to be done on the smaller pieces. The first thing I'm going to do is separate the tabs at the top by cutting down the vertical score line, just like so. Now on each of those little tabs I'm going to make a slanted cut, and I'm going to go from the outside edge at the bottom to the inside edge at the top. Like so. And then I'm going to repeat that for all of the 4 tabs. Using a pencil, I'm going to mark the position for the ribbon holes, and they need to go towards the pointed side. I'm going to punch the holes using my crocodile, and I'm using the smallest hole punch on it, which is I think 1/8 of an inch. I can now fold on all the scored lines and burnish them with my bone folder. On the 2 smaller pieces, the pointed ends are folded in the opposite direction to the 1/4 inch tab ends. I can now join these pieces to my die cut mats. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the backing from one side of the tape on the larger piece. Then I'm going to add it to one of the panels. Now I like to position the bottom section first of all. So if you line that up, but don't press it down too much just yet, you want to then align the side. And you may need to just pull that up a tiny bit to get the edges to meet. Then I can do the same thing for the other side. So make sure you get the end of the strip to meet with the start of the slant on the panel, and then just double check that the edges are all aligned. Then I can turn it over and give it a really good press down with a bone folder. I can then remove the backing from the tape on the other side, and then I can lay my second panel on top. Because the box shape is already formed, this side is much easier to put together. So just line up the edges as before, and then give it a good press down with a bone folder. And now to add the 2 top pieces. Again, you want to remove the backing from the glue. And I'd forgotten to fold on that middle score line, so I'm just doing that now. And then taking the piece, I need to align the glued section, that 1/4 inch tab, with the slanted edge at the top of the box. And once you've done one side, before you do the second one, give it a good press down with the bone folder. It's easier to do at this point. And then position the second side and give it a press down as much as you can. And now I can position the second piece in exactly the same way. So first of all, remove the backing from the glue, position one side and press it down, and then position the second side and press it down. I've die cut a basic white mat, and I used one of the Tasteful label dies to do this. Now from the same set I need this little circular die later on, so I'm going to remove it now. Now I've also gone ahead and embossed this using the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder, and this just adds some beautiful texture to the mat. The paper I'm using this time is from the Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper pack, and it's a specialty paper. I've also hand cut out some of the ornaments from one of the sheets, and this beautiful paper has silver foiling on one side. I love the colours used. I've gone ahead and added dimensionals to the largest ornament that I cut out. And then I also have a scrap of Mossy Meadow card. I'm going to use this scrap to create a mat to go underneath my white mat. So I'll glue it in place and then I'll cut round the shape, but leaving a very narrow border of Mossy Meadow showing. I need to create a slanted pointed top to match my box on the top of the paper. So I'm marking down on the side edges at a 1/2 inch. And then I also need to mark the centre point at the top edge. I can then cut from the side marks up to that centre mark on the top edge. Before you glue this mat into position, make sure you try it on the front of your box. If you're not happy with that top edge, then you can still adjust it slightly. The sentiment I'm using comes from the Sweet Little Stockings stamp set. I'm stamping on a scrap piece of normal weight basic white card, and I'm going to use polished pink ink. Now this I'll die cut using that little circle die from the Tasteful Labels set. Using a pencil, I'm going to mark where I want to make the hole, and then again using my crocodile, I'll punch this out. The twine I'm using is actually retired. I think this was part of a duo pack a little while back, but you can use any that you have. So I'm just going to cut a length and then I'll fold it in half to create a loop. Thread the loop through the front of the tag towards the back, and then I'll pull the ends through the loop and pull it tight. I'm going to add a large basic rhinestone to my tag just to finish it off and give it a little sparkle. And then I'm going to add some small rhinestones to the front of my box. The ribbon I'm using is our Open Weave in colour ribbon, and this is in polished pink. Now before I add it to my box, I'm going to add my chocolate treat inside, and this time I'm using a Kit Kat Santa. So you just squeeze the side of the box slightly together and that will open it, and then you can pop your gift or your chocolate treat inside. I'll then thread one end of the ribbon through the holes, starting from the front to the back and then bringing it back to front. And then I'll tie a single knot. I'll then add my tag through the knot, and this will secure it onto the ribbon. I can trim off the ends and then I can tie my bow. Again, I'll keep the tails on the bow quite long until I'm ready to gift this little box, and then I'll trim them off a bit shorter. And that's my box complete. Super sweet. It would be perfect to use at a place setting if you were having a dinner party. Now here's another look at my original one. And then I have made one more. This was actually the first one I created, and I used the Sweet Little Stockings bundle for it. Now I created a different top for this one. This was my original idea, but I didn't like that the bow sat on the side, which is why I changed it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.